Hey everyone, just a heads up, this video is going to contain a lot of sensitive information and it's going to talk about dark thoughts and theming. So if you guys uh, need a lifeline or someone to talk to, I'm going to put in the description down below 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline. They are an organization that helps people who are going through a lot, similar to that of the suicide hotline as well. So if you need help, and these videos are going to be covering sensitive subjects. So just a disclaimer: the title is called Omori and Dissociative Amnesia, and I am not personally aware of what Omori is, but the game is a role-playing game controlling a hikikyo Hikikomori teenage boy named Sunny in his dream world alter ego Omori. So let's see. Explore a strange world full of color, full and friends and foes, colorful and foes. When the time comes, the path you've chosen determines your fate and perhaps the fate of this boy or boys. So just a heads up, this is gonna follow like really sensitive subject matters, but let's begin.
Hey, so before we hop into this video, I need to make a few critical disclaimers. The first is that we'll be discussing some pretty sensitive topics today. Depression, anxiety, suicide, trauma, disturbing, bright, flashy images. Basically, the subject matter today is a dynamic cocktail of all things sad boy hours.
Yeah, because like at the moment, like it brought my attention because of like the whole subject matter of dissociative amnesia, and I I feel like on the channel, if you guys haven't met me for a while, known me for a while, hi, I'm Tyler. Wtphu is the channel, and I have talked about times when I have felt um, disassociated with like situations. I can't recall moments of dissociative identity, but these are mechanisms. These are safety mechanisms you like almost put upon yourself in regards to like things that happen traumatically to you. Um, Case in point for me, there'd be times where there was a moment in time where I would disassociate, and that came from me trying to avoid what happened during my childhood growing up and how my mother and I weren't on good terms because of those uh, things that she's done. I'm still personally in like a long I'm personally in like a long recovery period with my mom, but otherwise we've been relatively like we're working through it still, even if there are things that she won't admit personally. We're still working through some of the X and Y's of what could have been different, but that's my journey. And for those of you who are still going through yours, the links will be in the description down below.
And frankly is not suitable for all audiences, especially if you're easily triggered by self-harm. Also, we're going to be talking about how this game portrays real-life mental illnesses and conditions, so I think now is a great time to say that despite my undergrad degree in psychology and countless hours researching this video, I am not a therapist.
The best thing, honestly, like, and I respect that he's put up the disclaimer because, again, the majority of the time, anytime you watch a YouTube video, unless they clearly describe themselves as a personal help, much like Healthy Gamer GG, I think is the channel, or Cinema Therapy, where they are I'm going to put these links down below as well. But Cinema Therapy is someone that I follow as well, where he is a licensed counselor, and although he does specialize in family counseling, he is for me a great source of insight regarding the subject matters that people can go through in regards to their emotions and what certain things mean. But their channels will be in the description down below. You're more than welcome to find help in the spaces that allow you to. If you have family members that you can talk to, if you have a wife that is right behind you and just gonna work out her problems, that's gonna be fine. Hi. But definitely, if you have someone that's available to you, lean on them. They do want to help you. They love you, and they want to provide the help that you need, but they're not going to know the help that you need unless you speak up or work through what your diagnosis requires.
If you're looking for help or concrete advice regarding your own symptoms or the symptoms of a loved one, talk to a licensed professional, not some schmuck on YouTube who's going to analyze the apparent symptoms of a fictional character. Oh, and this video is going to heavily spoil Omori. In fact, in the later half of the vid, I'm just going to assume you've beaten the main route. In the opening, we'll pretty much just discuss the first hour of the game. So if you
but like from the subject matter, I might look into Omori, so I'll go wishlist it. I'll put this game's link in the description down below too, if you want to go through your own journey and how you will do things. For a game like this, I don't recommend you follow it. I don't recommend you follow a game guide, because that's somebody's way of going through. I recommend going through this game blind, making your own choices and finding the true ending by yourself if there is one. Otherwise, just play it on your own with without any guides. Play this blind in the sense that there's no one holding your hand on how to make the right choices.
Haven't played, you can stick around for a bit. But once we get to this timestamp in the video, we're taking a sharp right turn into downtown Spoiler City. Don't worry though, I'll warn you again at that point. So yeah, viewer discretion is advised. Now without further ado, let's talk about Omori.
Why is there a deer? She's like, okay, I can understand where like some subject matters may hit you like might hit you like a truck, but it breaks in like a deer. It's kind of funny.
Do you think it's possible that something so traumatic, something so sickeningly horrible can happen to you that your mind will, unbeknownst to you, just decide not to remember it? That some part of your subconscious will snag that disturbing memory and just arrest it, block it out, lock it away, or censor it from your reality? Do you think it's possible to not even be aware right now as you're watching this that something truly awful could have happened to you in the past that you don't even know happened? Do you really think you could forget something like that? Really think you could forget something you could forget?
And that's definitely possible, because like oftentimes those kind of instances will be a situation where, oh, this is traumatic, much like how, if I remember correctly, the Perks of a Wall in the book Perks of the Wallflower, there were instances where there was a trauma so traumatic, even memories can be overwritten, because in the story there was a tragic event, but that was eclipsed by the bigger problem where a family member passed away, but that trauma covered the fact that the auntie was not a really good person, but they were so focused on it that the character felt. This is probably spoilers. This is going to talk about spoilers left and right. So again, I'm going to be talking about the spoiler to Perks of the Wallflower. Skip ahead of the video if you don't want to hear me talk about it, but essentially, it was really just a really intricate, like, introspective and retrospective of what the kid went through, because the bigger problem is that he feels personally responsible for the death of his auntie, who went out of her way to go get a cake, and he feels responsible for her car accident because, oh, if I had never asked her to get that cake, she wouldn't have gone in the car and went, and it's not your fault. In the same way that you're not gonna blame the rain for making you wet, it happens. Things happen. You can't blame yourself for getting wet by going out in the weather. You can't blame yourself for being randomly rained on by the weather. It's not your fault. You can't control it. And for this child at the time, he blamed himself for the death of his auntie. But the reality is, it eclipsed a bigger problem, which was his auntie was doing unsavory things with the children. His auntie was just as bad as like the next villain, where she had done things that were very poor formed, that a parental guardian or family guardian should not have done. So in some cases, you can disassociate yourself by having a even bigger eclipse of a traumatic incident. So things can happen in ways you don't want it to, and it's not your fault.
Forget.
But I do like his I have liked his videos, especially where we last looked at how what you play, the games that you play define who you are, and who you are moves you into playing certain games. Case in point, my skins, Bob my skins, Mark's friend Bob, Wade's friend Bob. Essentially, he doesn't play really well with Souls like games, but he is still very on point when it comes to multiplayer games and so forth. Markiplier has played Elden Ring privately, but he has a hard time playing competitive games with his friends because of the place he gets into. If you don't know about it, there's videos of him raging out to Bennett Foddy's Getting Over It and other games within like the point of making the player angry. There are certain games that people like are more inclined to play because of the personality, so it really just depends. But yeah, it was fun.
Omori is a game that, despite expecting to be emotionally shaken up by the end of, I was completely emotionally eviscerated by
That oh dear. I don't like the way this is projected, but sure.
the end of. It's a title that, despite my assumptions about it, really kind of snuck up on me. I think that's because of how well it delivers in portraying its major themes. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Today, I want to talk about how Omori's story sticks the landing so well in the subtle and not so subtle ways it illustrates trauma and something called dissociative amnesia. To do so, I've played the main route of Omori from beginning to end, viewed all of the endings, hunted down as many secrets as I can find on YouTube, interviewed a fellow YouTuber who has legitimately experienced dissociative amnesia, emailed the devs who never replied, probably because they're too busy selling all the stuff I want to buy from them, and done a lot of soft sobbing thinking about the game whilst pooping. Oh, and of course hours of soul-draining research like I usually do. So to get the ball rolling, let's just briefly run through the first half hour or so of Omori and talk about what it sets up in the long run. The game starts you out in a room called White Space, where you'll be taking the role of a kid named Omori, who is just sort of existing here. And after a foreboding scene to kick things off, you were told that you have been living here for as long as you can remember. After checking your journal full of
the White Space, I can definitely see that. I can definitely understand where feeling like in a white space of just
to light things off, you were told that you have been living here for as long as you can remember.
And you can definitely feel that way too sometimes, because the white space is a very good portrayal of like feeling empty, of being emotionless, of having things in your life that you have a hard time expressing or dealing with. So to combat that, you definitely have moments of where things don't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you have white and black coloring, things don't matter. The room can be empty to you and feel empty. And the feeling is what it represents.
After checking your journal full of delightfully imaginative drawings, reading your computer log where every day leading up till now it seems everything was okay, likely story, and after exploring around reading your computer...
I spent time with everything was okay, when in reality everything's not okay. And at some point you will lose track of time, and you will lose perspective of how everything is. You can forget how, oh, today was different, where instead of A, B, C happened, A, B, D happened. And it could be positive or negative, but because of the dissociation, everything is at a different perspective.
Computer log where every day leading up till now it seems everything was okay, likely story. And after exploring around a bit, eventually you'll find a knife. Now that you're armed,
that's great.
this door will mysteriously become openable, and you will make your way into a colorful room where you will meet Omori's friends, who, after the opening scene and white space, are comparatively a breath of fresh air. No demons, no strange drawings, just some kids, not unlike the ones you might have actually grown up with. There's Kel, who is the happy-go-lucky knucklehead looking for fun, Aubrey, the starry-eyed yet short-tempered tomboy, and Hiro, the older brother figure who tries to quell the squabbles between Kel and Aubrey, since, you know, cooties. Shortly after, you'll meet Mary and Basil, the last two members of the gang. Mary is clearly the other chaperone for these little rascals as she hosts a picnic and also plays referee between the kids. And Basil is the quiet, timid, artistic type who likes taking photos and making flower crowns. Now, before the game lets you progress, you're prompted to look at Basil's photo album. And it's here where you get a much better picture, no pun intended, of what these kids are like. For me at least, two things happened when I was viewing the pictures. One, I found myself letting my guard down. This kind of stopped being a psychological horror and was just a tale of a wholesome little group of friends. I just grinned and admired charming little details like how
Yeah, like it does. I can already see how it does bring you down, like into a sense of it breaks down your barriers of like defense, because it just looks like a story where there's this one kid who is having a hard time, and he is surrounded by people that love him so much. He is surrounded by kids that love him, and it does look like he's trying his best because he's in the same space as they are, but he's probably going to tell us it's a lot worse.
how Hero and Mary clearly had a thing going on, how everyone was indulging the shy kid Basil on his flower crowns, and just how genuinely happy everyone looked. Two, I immediately felt myself
Even though Mori, because like the entire time Mori had like a blank
and
face.
just how genuinely happy
He has the same face almost in every picture.
everyone looked. Two, I immediately felt myself bracing for impact when I remembered, oh yeah, everything's about to get incredibly dark. I really hate that I like these characters now. I swear to God, if they kill anyone.
My babies. Anybody gonna touch my babies?
And the first
Don't
stretch of the
touch
game
them.
kept me in that constant pit in my stomach,
Seems a bit sad. See how it's curled up in a fetal position.
tug of war state between wanting to adore these kids and their quirky interactions, and then trying not to get too attached when anything upsetting happens.
Okay.
Like when Basil is taken by this thing that almost kills you and your entire crew. But it wasn't until a little bit later that I really lost my cool. After solving the game's first real conflict, Basil takes you and your gang to his house, where he compares all the different flowers to his friends, which unfortunately melted my heart. Then one more time,
Oh,
the game
geez.
makes sure you've had a good chance to look at the photos. Kel and Aubrey have a kerfuffle, Basil gets caught in the crossfire, pictures get loose, and now you have to put them back in order. Once that's done and it's fresh on your mind just how adorable their quirky little crew
What's that?
is,
Oh no.
Basil drops one more photo that for some reason he doesn't quite recognize. He takes a better look, and then
I don't like where the music is going. Jeez. Familiar. Why is there a fire sound? Mari? What?
and it's here that if you haven't played Omori yet, I must bid you adieu. Because we're about to order a pint of heavy spoilers from the bar that if you haven't played Omori...
That concerns me. Jeez. You're put back in the white space? You're
And it's here
disassociated?
that if you haven't played Omori yet, I must bid you adieu. Because we're about to order a pint of heavy spoilers from the bar, knock it back, and then keep them coming. From this point on, I'm going to assume you've played and finished the main route of the game, so if not, see you next time, Chief. Have a damn good one and all that. Hug your dog for me. Alright, now then, let's talk about how Shrek killed Basil. Seriously, leave, you animal. I know
Shrek killed Basil. Okay.
you're still here. I can see you right there. Go play the game yourself. It's worth it. Alright, okay, that should take care of the stragglers. So really this
Maybe.
time, here we go.